A vaccine shortage is forcing yet another closure of the Petco Park Superstation. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Carlo Cicchetto.
I'm Marcella Lee in for Barbara Lee Edwards. This comes as eligibility opens tomorrow for teachers, grocery workers and police officers, but the closure doesn't appear to impact that group.
News 8's Amanda Shonsky is live in the East Village tonight. Amanda, this is going to affect thousands of vaccine appointments again. It's the third closure for this site.
Yes, this is certainly not the news that anyone wanted to hear, especially those who have appointments to be vaccinated and, of course, those who are administering those vaccinations. Now, just a short time ago, we were able to speak to representatives from UCSD and the county. Both were able to confirm that Petco will, in fact, be closing from Saturday through Tuesday and hopefully reopening on Wednesday. This is all due to a shortage of the Moderna doses. We've been told that our situation here in San Diego is not unique, as there is a shortage that's affecting sites across the nation. Officials believe that this backup still is due to the Midwest snowstorms. Of course, this comes at a critical time, just one day before the county was set to start vaccinating teachers, police officers, grocery store workers, and more. So, of course, the question is, will this be an issue for those in that next phase? Well, if they were signed up to get the shot at Petco Park, those appointments will automatically be moved 4 days. Anyone with an appointment during that time will get a message through their MyChart account. And with that said, other locations with the Pfizer vaccine will continue to give vaccinations. This, of course, is just the Moderna that involves this shortage. Now, back out here live, we are told that the county is trying to acquire more Moderna vaccinations at this time. But for now, the plan is to finish up vaccinating tonight, close down tomorrow, and then close through Tuesday, hopefully to reopen on Wednesday. But of course, this is a fluid situation, and we will continue to bring you updates as soon as they are available. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Amanda. A team of health advisors endorsed the single-shot Johnson & Johnson vaccine today. Now it awaits approval from the FDA.
News 8's Heather Hope spoke to a doctor who sits on that advisory panel about the next steps for this latest vaccine rollout.
Right, our local leaders and members of the medical community are excited to have one more vaccine soon to be available to the community, but there have been concerns raised about the Johnson & Johnson single-shot effectiveness.
So excited.
Pumped that the Johnson & Johnson vaccine could soon be rolling out.
Because it's a one and done. One shot, no need for follow-up.
National City Mayor Alejandra Sotelo Solis participated in the Johnson & Johnson vaccine trial. She's eager for it to be distributed, especially after her uncle just died from COVID-19.
It equals less death. It means less hospitalizations.
An FDA advisory panel just endorsed the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Dr. Mark Sawyer of Rady Children's Hospital sits on that committee.
The bottom line is this new vaccine is very effective at preventing severe outcomes.
Despite Johnson & Johnson having a near 66% effectiveness compared to Pfizer and Moderna's 95%, Dr. Sawyer says it's tough to compare the single shot to the two, especially as it was tested in South America and South Africa and the U.S. Now there are 2 more steps for approval.
First, FDA approves the vaccine, then CDC recommends how to use it. I'm expecting all of that to happen in the next few days, and so by early next week, we're going to have all the information we need.
But there are concerns. Some just don't like Johnson & Johnson products, but the vaccine is actually made by Janssen, a subsidiary of the company separate from the manufacturer.
We understand the history that Johnson & Johnson has had, particularly in communities of color, but know that the people who are making decisions as to making sure that these vaccines are in the arms of our communities are people who understand.
Major differences from the double-dose vaccines. Johnson & Johnson only requires 1 shot and just needs refrigeration, not freezers. And here are the side effects.
Slight headache afterwards, little chill, but never a fever. I never had vomiting or any of the other side effects.
If given the green light, 3 to 4 million doses could be shipped as early as Monday.
J&J, being a single dose, provides us opportunities to use it in harder to reach communities where it may be hard to get back for a second shot.
Heather Hope, News 8.
Coming up new tonight in our second half hour, the Verify team gives us a closer look at how the Johnson & Johnson vaccine and other vaccines work inside your body to keep you resistant to COVID-19.
We seem to have hit a plateau with new COVID cases in San Diego, with the daily numbers falling in the same range. 662 new cases were reported today after 519 yesterday. The county reported nearly 16,000 tests for roughly a 4% positive rate today. That's almost the same rate as yesterday. And the decline in hospitalizations and ICU patients continued as well. In the past 30 days, hospitalizations are down more than 60%, and ICU patients are down also by nearly 60%.
After a growing movement to let them play and a judge's ruling, youth sports have returned to San Diego County.
Today's a big day for a lot of families of high school athletes. News 8's Teresa Sardina reports from Scripps Ranch with more on how some kids are hitting the practice fields after a long time away.
I'm here at Scripps Ranch High School. The nearly one-year timeout is over. I spoke with the head football coach. He says the athletes are ready to return to the field and courts.
It's a big day for all sports in San Diego County. They couldn't go to school, they couldn't go to church, they weren't in sports. Some of the parks are still closed. Today is like a rebirth.
Marlon Gardenera, head football coach of Scripps Ranch High, says sports can return to a normal calendar, but COVID-19 testing is a concern for some athletes. Governor Gavin Newsom and the judge's order require that high-contact sports get tested.
The governor said he would pay for testing for football, water polo, and rugby.
Gardenera says it should be fair. If all sports can return, then testing should be covered for all. While playing sports, there are no restrictions. The game, match, and competition will continue as usual. When not playing, health and safety protocols must be followed.
Obviously, we want social distancing, masks. We want people to take every precaution necessary.
Families and the community showing continuous support for the youth.
The state didn't give guidance on youth sports until December 14th. Meanwhile, over 40 other states were playing and successfully and safely played youth sports.
Sports dad and co-founder of Let Them Play California, Brad Hensley of San Diego, says it's been weeks of rallying, facing the governor and a lawsuit aiming to resume sports.
9 weeks ago, we had nothing. We had no hope. There was no organization. There was no voice for kids.
Hensley says we need a full victory for our kids. Gardenera tells News 8 safety measures are in place. They're back in the game and kids get to be kids.
They have to do the right things on the field and they have to do the right things off the field.
The conversation continued with Coach Gardenera about visitors attending the games, and he says right now it is undetermined, it is pending, and they're waiting to hear from the county. Reporting in Scripps Ranch, Teresa Sardina, News 8.
Thanks, Teresa. A SWAT standoff at a home in Chula Vista is entering its second night. It began when Chula Vista police were called last night from a man claiming that he had killed his wife. Chula Vista police have surrounded a home on Glover Street near Kearney Street. Right now, officials say they don't know the condition of the woman. The man claims he's armed. Officials are asking residents in the area to stay inside or stay out of the area until the scene is clear.
In a Your Stories report tonight, a man from Ramona has concerns about bicycle signs recently installed along State Route 67.
As News 8's David Gottfredson reports, the signs say bicycles have access to traffic lanes where vehicles routinely travel 55 miles per hour.
It says bicycles have full access to lanes, and then they have another sign that says you have to give a bicyclist 3 feet clearance.
These are the signs Colin Fagan is worried about. They tell drivers to give access to bicycles in traffic lanes along State Route 67 in and out of Ramona, where the speed limit is 55 miles an hour.
It's narrow. They've had probably 8 fatality accidents, I'm going to say, within the last 6 years, just in that little stretch. It might be more.
Fagan has lived in Ramona for 25 years. He drives Route 67 to work in the morning, and he has concerns about cyclists riding and speeding traffic.
If they have full access to the lane, that means that they're basically a car doing 5 to 20 miles an hour on basically a freeway.
Under California law, bike riders are allowed in traffic lanes, but they cannot impede traffic. Caltrans says the signs went up after meetings with local bicycling advocates worried about drivers not giving right of way.
Those shared lane markings are in a place where the shoulder narrows to a point where bicyclists have very little space to operate. We gave enough room for them to be able to look around, assess their surroundings, and if it's an appropriate place to take the lane.
In 2019, a woman riding a bicycle was seriously injured along Highway 67 in a hit-and-run accident. She had to be airlifted to the hospital, and the driver was later sentenced to 3 years in custody for reckless driving.
When we know that bicyclists are going to be out there, when they're allowed out there by state law, we have to do something to make it a better place for people to ride.
There is a long-term plan to widen State Route 67, which includes building bike lanes. But the environmental review alone could take more than 3 years. Fagan is hoping for a quicker fix.
I believe the best thing to do is, on short term, is for Caltrans to widen the shoulder for the bicyclists and let them have a lane.
Caltrans says those signs went up mainly in downhill areas where bike riders get up to speed and occasionally have to merge into traffic to avoid very narrow shoulders on the side of the road. Marcella?
David, it's great to hear that they do have these long-term plans to widen State Route 67, but explain a little bit more about why it's taking so long.
It's just the nature of environmental review. You know, they look at a lot of different options: 2 lanes, 4 lanes, bike lanes, no bike lanes on the left, bike lanes on the right, and eventually they pick the option that is best, but it takes time and planning and, of course, a lot of money.
All right, if you are going to be pedaling out there, make sure to use extra caution. Thanks so much for that update, David.